How you lose your job on your day off?
When I think of lazy, I think of not doing nothing. I just feel like we weren't overextending and doing what we were supposed to do to get that extra money.
Zell, he also has a family. So he was just like, well, if we're not getting paid, I got to take care of my family.
Yeah.
As a person who is like investing in this podcast, and it's like, okay, I've been paying y'all for 16 months.
Ain't getting no money back.
Yeah. It can look like, do y'all really want to even do this? Yeah. So we got fired. Yeah, we got fired or whatever.
What's good, y'all? Welcome to Painz podcast, where we talk about business and the life of a young adult. I'm Tre'Vion.
And I'm Yana.
Hey, y'all. I'm Jada.
And today we're going to be talking about business.
Yeah.
Y'all, like that life of a young adult, we're going to talk about business. We're going to stand on big business.
Standing on business. Standing on business.
We're going to talk about big business.
Shout out
you
to
heard.
Drewski.
So we've been maturing. We've been getting older, and you know what I'm saying? Like we got a lot to stand on. So where are we going to start with this? Where are we going to start?
Well, let's talk about the transitions. Let's start off talking about how Painz is going and the transitions in Painz.
That's cool.
So we got fired. Yeah, we got fired or whatever.
Yeah, we got fired. They said, you're out of here. What they say on Friday?
Finito.
How you lose your job on your day off? Damn.
You ugly.
So we got fired, and
I don't like that word. Can we say another word?
We got fired. Just swallow the pill.
Can we just say, I don't like that.
We were downgraded.
Yeah, exactly.
We were demoted.
Exactly.
We are no longer
that word fired is too harsh.
We're no longer an employee.
You're fired.
I don't like that fired word.
Fired.
We just.
But I mean, I think we honestly
in our position.
I think that it's well deserved.
What?
Now we got a well-deserved depositioning.
First, to
Y'all
clarify, how can we get fired from the podcast?
So
because people would be confused.
We got fired because nobody was. Let me not even put the blame on.
We were hired to be on Growing Painz pod.
Thank you for the clarity.
And we used to get a little check or whatever.
Just a little one too. Just a little
something. You know, you can pay a little bill or whatever with it. But but we were
it's like what'd she say?
Well, we not getting money you can pay a little bill with.
Don't look at me. You don't want to.
You could pay a little bill with it for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I was paying a little bill.
Yeah, you could pay a little bill with it. So, but anyways, we was getting a little check or whatever, and we got fired because we was being lazy, and
we were being lazy. Don't say
all the way lazy.
What was we doing that was?
I was just saying we weren't being productive, because I feel like lazy means like, oh, we weren't coming in. I feel like we were doing what we're supposed to do.
We were consistent.
Exactly. And when I think of lazy, I think of not doing nothing. And I wouldn't say we were lazy because we were doing events. We were doing, like, it may not have been every month. Just recently we stopped doing the events and stuff, but we were doing stuff. We just
don't say just recently.
Well,
we
ever since this year started. Y'all just trying to make us. No, I'm not. I'm actually for real. Like, I feel like we were doing just the bare minimum, but I wouldn't say that the bare minimum is like lazy. I just feel like we weren't overextending and doing what we were supposed to do to get that extra money.
Yeah, I would say we were comfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
that's a better word.
Yeah, we were just not trying to do more. Like, we weren't promoting, we weren't posting, we weren't doing the extra things that were required for the podcast. And so we've been doing this podcast for more than a year. Maybe like 16, 17 months or so. Maybe even 17, maybe going on 18, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, we've been doing this podcast for a while, and we're all getting paid monthly to be on the podcast. And so that's going to add up. So as a person who is like investing in this podcast, and it's like, okay, I've been paying y'all for 16 months and
ain't getting no money back.
Yeah. So it's like, and y'all aren't posting, y'all aren't promoting. It can look like, do y'all really want to even do this? Yeah. Which I think we did. I feel like we just were not prioritizing it. We were just comfortable. Yeah. We weren't putting stuff out as much as we should. We weren't doing the same things that we were doing at the beginning. Like we're not trying to grow the Instagram for real, or, you know, different things like that. But I said the thing we did consistently was we were consistently showing up to record. And we were consistently doing our vlogs or the little challenge videos on YouTube. Like, we were consistently putting those on the YouTube channel, but channel's not just going to grow just from you only just posting on the channel and nowhere else. And so, yeah, I feel like that's why I say it was well deserved. I mean, if y'all would have invested as much as y'all did into some 5th graders who you wanted to do a podcast, and all this time go by and nothing's happened.
I agree.
You still gonna keep supporting those 5th graders just because you think they're cute and adorable?
Yeah. Real quick. If you're not subscribed to the channel, what are you doing? Tap in.
Tap in, twin. Take a 5-second break and go subscribe.
Exactly. We got so much on our channel, y'all. We got vlogs, we got challenges, we got silent library, we got everything. So what are you doing? Like, go subscribe right now.
What are you doing?
Go
subscribe.
Stand on business. Go stand on business.
Stand on business, yeah.
Let's get back into the episode.
Now, I can speak my truth, and I can say I definitely take accountability for like just not being as active in promoting or trying to get sponsorships and stuff. But I also can say that I just got like really discouraged towards the end, and so it just made my attention go somewhere else, because I'm not a person where I put all my eggs in one basket, and I'm not gonna just depend on one thing. So I'm going to look for other things in order to make sure that things get done. So
and you were doing stuff.
Yeah, and so with that, it just started getting discouraging. Like with like the restraints and what we could and couldn't do and all of that stuff, and so I was just like, I mean, what's the point?
Yeah.
So,
I agree, because I feel like at one point we were like, oh, bet, like we could do this, and then it's like, oh, can't, and then it kind of like,
that's true. We were really excited at one point about doing a lot of things.
Yeah.
And then when it felt like, oh, we can't do.
And so I feel like it kind of got to a point where like, oh, we got this, no, can't. Oh, we got, no, can't.
Yeah.
Oh, like, you know.
Yeah.
But not saying that's like, because of course we definitely could have still did more, but I feel like that kind of played a role into like kind of not putting our full creativity forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'll say what put a pause on as far as like in-person stuff was really doing the Friendsgiving took a lot.
Oh yes.
And
that was
it took so much time, bruh. And
first time selling tickets.
It was a good event. And we promoted it really well. Like,
we got.
I just remember we was not selling no tickets at first.
Oh yeah.
But
I was like, the bills are due.
Yeah. But it ended up being a really nice event. We did end up selling tickets, but we
shout out to everybody that came.
Yes, for sure.
We promoted it well, but it took a lot of time, a lot of energy.
A lot of time, a lot of energy.
Yeah. So
from
it's
the
just like
flyers,
after that,
getting people.
Our promo videos, our freaking news ad thing we did.
Now I can say we do know how to get some momentum.
Yeah,
we do know how to get people attention from the followers. That Thanksgiving event with the news ad, we know how to get people attention with our marketing.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
So to add to that, I do think that the Thanksgiving event took a lot out of us. It was just like from the tickets not selling, and then once we had people actually show up that day, it made us realize how to promote certain things. So the Friendsgiving event, I should say, that event was more so for our core audience, and we were putting pressure on ourselves to sell tickets for 100 people to be in a room. And it was like Friendsgiving, that's more intimate. And
we was out here in these streets.
We were out, like we were just trying to get random people.
Yeah, we was out at Atlantic Station
Public
asking
interview.
people to buy.
What's your favorite food?
We were. Like, could you please buy a ticket?
All right, we're not doing that.
None of them random people even came.
Right.
Nobody.
They probably unfollowed the Instagram.
Right. Probably.
Honestly.
For sure. So yeah, that was one thing. And then I know for me and you, I had like was transparent, and I was like, I had started to feel, as far as like the promo thing, I started to feel like I was doing it like alone. So I just kind of was like, all right, never mind.
No, I feel
and
that.
So yeah, and I think once we all like got out of sync with it, it was just like Dave was like, all right, now like let's just y'all can still do it if y'all want, but y'all not getting paid.
Nah, definitely.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm actually grateful for this because it's putting us in the mud for real. And now we can actually be like, yeah, we know how to get money in a podcast, you know, and we know how to actually put the work in. That way we can actually help other people too. Because at first, people used to be asking me how you start. I really don't know because we get help.
We were just showing up.
You know what I'm saying?
We just show up.
So now I'm thankful that we actually can get our hands dirty for real. So now we can have experience, you know?
Like now we have to think about all of the intricacies of having a podcast. What cameras do we need? What lighting do we need? Who's gonna film? Because that's another thing. With Dave, you know, not paying us anymore. Zell, he also has a family, and so he's just like, well, if we're not getting paid, I got to take care of my family.
Which
and
is
that's understandable.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? If I had a kid, y'all are out of the deal. So I understand it. I respect it.
He had his baby up here today, and he was crying
What
every
did you
time
just
I
say?
held. He had his baby here today. He was crying every time I held him.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so look,
Ramel.
Zell, he got a baby to take care of. Okay?
For sure. His baby is so tiny.
It's so adorable.
Very much so.
Yeah. So yeah. With that being said, we no longer have. Well, we have Zoe because he's
helping
willing
us
to pull
today.
up. Yeah, he's helping us today, and
but we gotta find like something else as an option.
And with that also requires us having to needing funds in order to be able to run the podcast and stuff.
That's
so
why y'all need to send that cash out.
Yeah,
but we'll talk about that later.
Right.
I mean, they got to see it from us too, because I also feel as though their energy as well, like
that's real.
I feel as though the people that supports the podcast, they were in it with us as well, and I believe they still are, because they still show up on our episodes and stuff. But we are the ones that have to push the needle forward, and so yeah.
And I just want to say real quick, exclusive CJ, is that his name?
Yeah, exclusive.
I appreciate your comments so much.
Oh yeah.
I don't always respond to them, but I read them every single time.
Me,
the whole thing too.
But I don't respond to a lot of stuff. When I be talking to Yanni and Trey, I just like a message and I do not say nothing. So I don't respond to a lot of stuff, but I'll be reading your messages and that you be commenting under our things, our videos, and I appreciate
shout out to CJ, bro.
Yeah,
like, because he really be
love
supporting.
those.
Even not only does he comment, but he'll repost too. Like he gonna post it on his story every
He gonna
time.
post it on his story every
Every
Friday,
time.
every Saturday, whatever day he watching, he gonna post that he's watching.
He be doing that story with his like clothing brand on the side, or and then the computer in the
or
background,
the iPad. Yeah,
Right.
Yep.
yeah. So I would say CJ, I would definitely appreciate him, because like those people who comment consistently keep me going. Making me want to do better, and I'm like, dang, I can't give up on these people.
Exactly, because it's like people are actually watching. You know, people are actually tuned in, looking at us, seeing how we move and stuff. We're actually inspiring people. So it's like, if I'm inspiring people, I have to show up the best way I can.
Yeah, for sure. And also, I can say that our conversations are entertainment. All of that, it isn't lackluster. Like, we're very creative people. We bring it to the table. You get what I'm saying? So, people that's why they watch, because they see something in us. If it was boring, it wouldn't even crack 100 views. So the fact that we even able to crack 100 views on an episode, like that's saying something.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? And people still watching to this day. People still mention us in their stories.
Us.
Yes. Yeah. So this podcast really means a lot, and I feel as though it has helped us all grow in multiple ways, communicating better, being able to operate in different rooms and come out of our shells. I can't say the podcast for sure, being that I sometimes struggle with like being extroverted and talking. Sometimes people like
breaking the ice by saying like, oh, I watched the podcast, that just, it like breaks all of the nervousness out of me, and just be able to be open and talk. So
that's real.
The podcast has brought a lot.
And I feel like, you know, I'm glad that we're learning the lesson and we're doing what we need to do moving forward. Like, we've been taking intentional steps moving forward, so that way it's not just a thing where, oh, we know we need to do better. We know, no, we're actually doing what we need to do to move forward. We've been getting on phone calls every week. We have actionable steps for each of us every week to make sure we're actually all doing what we're supposed to do. We hold each other accountable, you know, so we're actually doing what we need to do. It's not just peep game and don't do nothing. No, it's peep game, move forward the right way.
Yeah, and those calls be super productive. Like, every Thursday, we do a call, and literally we'll have like our meeting objectives. What is everything that we're about to talk about on this call, and then like we'll talk about, well, what are the things that we need to do next week before our next call, and just having like, you know, SOPs, like, you know, okay, the goal is to make this many posts a week, or even talking about what type of posts need to go if we're doing stuff outside of clips, what type of posts need to be on your Painz page, or just different things like that, which I feel like, or even like how we say, okay, on Mondays we go live. And so just having different things in place that we're like trying to like hold as a standard, and just being intentional about showing up, like dedicating that 1 hour every Thursday, like, this is for growing Painz, you know? And so I feel like now we're way more intentional. We're really putting in the work now. And so I feel like now it's just like a matter of time before things, you know, take off. Because before, I think we would just make excuses as to like why we can't do anything. But now it's just like, no, everybody, like, let's all hold our own weight.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Get stuff done.
And also not like blowing things off. You know, so we have a round table with you know, Nick and Marlon and stuff like that. I think it's cool to say it.
It's going to be dropping soon. So.
Yeah, it's going to be dropping soon. But Mino as well. Yes. Mino, we have a roundtable with them, and we've been preparing and stuff like that in order for the rollout for it to be good, and not just dropping it just to say, oh, we dropped, that's it. You know what I'm saying? And also within that roundtable that we had, they were the ones who mentioned how they have weekly calls, and we just immediately act on it. So I think we're like the epitome of what being a go-getter is, and all of that stuff, just making sure that when we do make mistakes, because you're not going to get it right every time, but once you realize it, now it's upon you to get it right moving forward, or at least be intentional about getting it right moving forward. So that's what we have been doing recently, is being intentional of each step of what we can improve on. Each call has been productive, but there's also been things that, like, when we look at the checklist, some of us may not have did everything, and it's like, okay, cool, well, next week that needs to be done. You get what I'm saying? And also like working in our strong suits. Jada, she'll make sure she, you know, checks in with us and be like, hey, where's this? Where's that? You know, we haven't sent this out. Are we going to get this done? Like, working in together in order to make this continue to work. So
that's real. And also I want to say, as a learning lesson for anybody that's watching, you may not have a podcast, but I want this to be a lesson for y'all that it's not always going to be easy. Whatever you start, whatever you're working, whatever you're building on, there's going to be something that happens that's going to test it. So we easily could have been like, oh, we're not getting paid no more. We're not going to do this no more. Like, I'm done, you know? Because we all have our own stuff going on too. Like, we're all building something in this season, so it's not easy. But instead, with this lesson, or with this trial that got through at us, or I'm just going to say a moment that wasn't expected happening in the podcast, we're like, okay, well, what can we do to move forward? You know, what are some things that we can learn from this? How can we move forward in an intentional way so that we can keep this thing going? We didn't just give up. So I want this to be a lesson for y'all that what you're doing, what you're building is going to get tested, you know, and however you manage that testing is going to prove if you truly believe in the thing that you're building or not. Like, we all really believe in this podcast, so we're all willing to do what we have to do to make sure that it's still, that we still grow it, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And also, upon the different trials that we're having, like, there's been a few that we experienced since, from, like, you know, Zell saying that he wouldn't be able to be a part of it, and now we have to find other people, and then, like, you know, Dave saying he not paying us. Then Dave also mentioned that you know,
we couldn't record ourselves.
We couldn't record ourselves. That's what I was getting to. Yeah, we can't use the equipment, and these things are just huge drastic changes for us, but it's like, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna sit and pout in our sorrow, or are we gonna figure out a solution? And so it's like these trials, they aren't just there to like just to be there or just to like make us quit, but it's to test us to see how far we really gonna go. You get what I'm saying? And so so what were you gonna say?
I like that we do immediately think of solutions. So even as soon as David said earlier that we couldn't use the equipment by ourselves, we immediately went outside and started thinking, okay, what's next? Like, I think that's very important as just a person, an entrepreneur, whatever you do. I think it's important to be the type of person who, once you are faced with an obstacle, once you are faced with some type of like issue or problem or barrier, your automatic thought should be, okay, what are we going to do? What's next? And I love that not only is that something that we do, it's just people in our personal lives, but that's been our response in this podcast. Every time an issue comes up or a problem comes up, we're like, okay, what we about to do? Are we going to try and find another studio? Are we going to try and whatever? Like, we're literally trying to think ahead and fix the problem, but not once are we saying, okay, let's just quit. And because we're like showing up not just for ourselves, but we're showing up for a community, like a community that we know is out there that really does support, that really does love like what we're doing. And so we're showing up for them regardless. Like, when we keep thinking like, okay, what can we do to make sure we're still able to keep this show going? Because I do feel like we are close. Like, I feel like we're close to something happening, you know? And I also even thought earlier today, like, don't take for granted, like, the good things that have happened with the podcast, or the successes that we have had with the podcast, different people that we've had on, even the fact that we really do have an episode that has 100,000 plus views.
Crazy.
You know, a lot of people don't get an episode with 100,000 plus views, and that has nothing to do with it even being on Social Proof, because a lot of our Social Proof episodes had like a couple thousand. So that just means that episode was really that good of an episode that 100,000 people watched it.
Right.
And so just even being grateful that we've had conversation good enough that attracted 100,000 people. And so I think that we should be grateful for the successes that we do have, and just continue to strive for more, continue to strive to build on what we have. But I do think we have a really good show. I feel like we've went through so many like ups and downs and just figuring it out, like figuring out the flow, figuring out the emotions. And now I feel like where the podcast is now, as far as like our chemistry and things like that, I feel like it's great. I feel like what we have is great. Now it's just a matter of like that right moment, like something is going to happen, and I do think the show is going to take off for sure.
For sure. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, and also I feel like trials happen to move you closer to where God wants to take you. So, you know, it's like God will place something here to get you to move so you can reach where he wants you to be. Because it's like, if you keep going this way, it's like, well, God wants you to make a right. But if he don't place this trial here, you're not going to make the right. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, so that's good.
Yeah, it's like God makes certain things happen to move you closer to where he wants you to be. So that's why a lot of times we be getting mad at God, like, why you well, God's like, I'm trying to help you get where you're trying to go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and one thing that I was going to say, as a group, with the decisions being made as far as all of the transitions that we already mentioned, I noticed that none of us was like, oh, well, you did this wrong or you did this wrong, like pointing fingers. It's like, okay, whatever was done, it got us to this point. So ain't nothing that we could say, ain't nothing that somebody did less of or more of that can take away from what got us to this point overall as a team. So not being able to not focus on the past and focus on what is the next step, not what already been done, what should have been done, what could have been done, focusing on the present situation that we're dealing with right now.
And how can we move forward?
Yeah, so that was the main thing. And yeah, I pretty much think that's like an overall thing. We just gonna see where, you know, where everything goes. It's uncomfortable, but I don't know. I feel right now, currently, I feel as though we're like maturing I don't know. It feels like we're like maturing and learning how to deal with solutions, deal with problems better.
Yeah.
And not letting it discourage us or like get us weary.
I agree.
Yeah.
So, I guess to wrap things up, what do y'all see for like the near future? So like the next 6 months, by the end of the year, what do y'all see for the near future for Growing Painz? Like, what would y'all like to see? Like, ideally.
Yeah.
I see more sponsorships and speaking engagements. More episodes that are as impactful as Alex's episode.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, that's the 3 main things that I see right now.
Yeah, I feel like our views are going to start. We're going to start seeing more increase more in views for sure. And probably like a stronger sense of community. I could see that happening. I think we have a dope community, but even just seeing more engagement, like finding more of our people, like the people that are for Growing Painz, finding more of those people and really just seeing more engagement in what we're doing, and also seeing like just the increase in views, like more people actually coming and showing up and supporting and watching the podcast for sure.
I agree. I feel like I can definitely see us having better conversations. Like, you know, even the episode we recorded before this, I feel like that was really good. You know, I can definitely see us, and as we're growing as people, having conversations that's not just cliche, but something that's like, dang, that was like unique. Like nobody's ever talked about this before. They all presented their own perspectives. It was a it was synchronized. The conversation was. I see us having more better conversations, and I see us definitely having some dope guests on as well. That we're bringing people on our podcast doing interviews again, I can definitely see us having really good conversations with people.
Yeah,
and also like you said, sponsorships as well.
Yeah, same. And we didn't talk about that too. I guess that is also a part of the change as far as we are back to doing interviews as well. Oh, who
no, go finish out.
Oh, but yeah, something that we're that's also part of like changes and things right now is we are starting to do interviews, and we're putting a pause on our vlogs or our YouTube. Well, y'all know we had our YouTube challenges and different things like that y'all will see us do on Wednesdays. We are putting a pause on that for now, but we are going to for now we're going to focus on just getting
the conversations out.
Yeah, exactly. And probably like our 5-minute Mondays that we put on Red Circle, or I guess they don't listen on Red Circle, they're listening on whatever,
Spotify,
yeah, all
Apple
of those
Pod.
But we'll start posting those on the YouTube channel as well. And so those are like other changes that y'all will see.
Yeah, for sure. And also I was gonna say I could see us having our own like setup. Like right now we record in there, but you never know, like we might have our own like look, you know what I'm saying? Whether that be more branding on whatever is around us, just something. I see us like having a better environment that we record in. Yeah. Now the studio is amazing, but I'm just saying more like a branded environment.
Yeah, branded like it could be like covers on the mics and stuff like that. I see a team too, definitely a team that is willing to help and see the vision, and they're moving forward towards that vision as well with this. And so I see that. Yeah,
that makes me.
I was gonna say, if y'all want to do a little intern,
I was just about to say that, because there definitely could be people watching who feel like I want to be a part of Growing Painz. I want to help build what they have going on. So if there is anybody out there who is like watching and you're in Atlanta or near Atlanta and you want to help, we record like once a month or like, technically once a month. Mm-hmm. So, if there's anybody out there willing to like just intern, help us out or anything like that, definitely reach out, send us a DM or even an email at info@growingpainzpod.com.
Even if you're not in Atlanta, we still need some help online. Like I'm pretty sure there's some
virtual help.
Need help with online. So definitely reach out wherever you see fit, wherever you want to add value. Definitely hit us up.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And even let us know like what y'all want to see. Like, this is like Growing Painz podcast, but y'all are a part of like the Growing Painz family. And so we want to know, like, as we go through these transitions, what are the things that y'all really have loved seeing from us? What are the type of conversations y'all have loved seeing from us? yeah, like we want to know like what it is that like y'all really love. What do y'all want to see? Like your feedback, because we're growing with y'all, you know. And so we want to keep in mind what are the things that y'all want and different things like that.
Yeah. So rather than commenting a word this time, I would say more so commenting probably what you said, what you want to see from us as far as the conversations and all of that stuff. So just being intentional about that. And
even what do y'all think we could be doing better? Like when it comes to promotion or Instagram or our videos, like what do y'all think we could be doing better? We really do care about y'all's feedback because y'all are our community. So yeah.
Yes. Make sure you guys follow us, Instagram and TikTok. Amen. Instagram and TikTok, Growing Painz Pod. And what is our Cash App?
Yes.
Growing Painz Pod as well.
Yeah. Yes, $ Growing Painz Pod.
Don't forget the Z. If y'all want to, sow a seed. I was gonna say show a seed. Show a seed. If y'all want to sow a seed in our podcast and invest what we got going on, y'all could definitely do that. $Growing Painz Pod. And yeah, make sure y'all follow me, Yanni Bratcher. I'm gonna be dropping the ebook soon, so y'all go tap in with that, and y'all can support my Christian streetwear brand at Wise Label.
Yeah, for sure. And you can follow me at Roy Tre'Vion and Roy T Made It. We got some Roy T's on the way, so check out the Instagram, and yeah, we're gonna keep it going. Let's get it.
And y'all can follow me at I am Jada Ellis and at Jael Official on Instagram.
Yes.
Let go.
Bye, you guys.
Yeah.
Bye,